To the Good Boxing Podcast with your host, Josh Sides, and I'm going to jump right into this episode. It's been a few days since the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder conclusion, the third fight, Fury versus Wilder 3. And as you know, there's a certain boxing community known as the LDBC, which I'm not going to sit here and ridicule and make this where it's a certain race versus another race. But what I am going to say is I think we might have the most toxic boxing community from that aspect. I'm not going to attack them, but I've been hearing a lot of excuses from that side. Tyson Fury got a long count, etc., etc., etc. And I think that community is doing Wilder a disjustice. I know they supported Wilder for many years since the last Tyson Fury fight and with Deontay Wilder. And quite frankly, you just got to accept the fact that he lost. I think Deontay Wilder, for the first time in his life, in his mind, knows he lost to the better guy. He had the death he asked for on the battlefield. He had the beautiful loss, one where you've never been out gunslinged, and Tyson Fury stepped to him and beat him. Tyson Fury got hurt. Deontay Wilder showed tremendous heart. He showed tremendous improvement, in my opinion, from that second fight and first fight. And essentially resurrected his career, in my opinion, if he wants to continue fighting. I think this pay-per-view did exceptionally well. And I think Deontay Wilder, if he wants to come back, immediately becomes a contender to make a sizable amount of money, even though at this point in his career, he's made a sizable amount of money. But right away, the people that were accusing Tyson Fury of cheating, Glovegate, Deontay Wilder was poisoned. Tyson Fury has the Vegas commission in his pocket. Bob Arum's getting favoritism. All these different things that were perpetuated in that community. And then finally, their man loses, and they're already damaging his legacy by making excuses. Oh, his hand was broken. Yeah, he probably broke it by punching Tyson Fury on top of the head, right on the forehead. It's hard. You know, you're throwing with such tremendous power like Deontay Wilder is. Something has to give, right? You're only made of bone. You can throw it as hard as you want, but you could potentially hurt yourself, especially when you threw it on top of the head, or God knows, maybe you were blocking a shot. These are heavyweights. You're fighting. So maybe on a parry, you never know what can break your hand. Your hands are very brittle. And that's something that a lot of people that champion bare knuckle fighting speak about, is when you don't have the cushy gloves, your hands are very brittle. If you hit somebody with full power or you block a shot with your hand can break. But other excuses, the long count. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Deontay Wilder needs to learn how to stay in his corner. I am totally privy to the fact that Deontay Wilder was excited. He got the knockdown he wanted. He seemingly thought he could potentially get retribution for his second loss where he got knocked out, especially after getting knocked down, to get back up and drop Fury not once but twice. You're elated. Your adrenaline is bumping all the way through the roof. You're essentially doing so much, and you can't be mad when the rules aren't followed and the count stops. You got to realize that when you're essentially knocked down, you have to let the fighter get up. You go to the neutral corner so the fighter doesn't just run up on the fighter and hit him. You have to create a safe environment for the fighter to recover. Now, there was no long count. The count is a count to make sure that the fighter is okay. It's not 10 seconds. Yes, there is someone out there that keeps the count going, but the count is there for the referee to make sure that the fighter could continue. And Fury showed he could continue. He wasn't hurt. He was hell of a lot less hurt than Wilder looked in that last knockdown that sent Wilder finally home. And gave a dramatic conclusion to a very good and competitive trilogy. Now, the fan base is poisoning this man's legacy because Wilder, truthfully, in my opinion, like I said before, got his retribution. He showed that, hey, look, you put me out there, I'm going to give you a competitive fight. I know everyone's going to be proponents of, oh, fighter safety, Mark Breland saved him. Yes, I agree. He did save him. This was the inevitable outcome of the second fight as well. But you give Wilder closure. You give Wilder the sense that he lost to the better man. He lost to the man that withstood his power and just beat him and was the better man. To me, personally, when you take a loss and you know you did everything you could, you can sleep a hell of a lot better than thinking, oh, my trainer stopped it too early. So-and-so stopped it too early. Oh, I got cheated. The gloves, whatever the case may be. When you lose to the better man, you can sleep at night. And I think finally Wilder got that closure, but the excuses start to come out. Oh, the gloves again. Wilder had to use the same gloves. There are commissions for a reason. I'm not sitting here and saying that commissions aren't above reproach. I'm not going to sit here and say that commissions aren't corrupt. You guys know the Oscar Valdez controversy with the WBC. But one thing I do and will always champion is, ever since Louis Resto did what he did to that man where the guy died, the commission is pretty on top of the gloves, on top of the wraps. Even Margarito, the second fight, they're on top of it. And you always have someone watching someone wrap hands. You always have someone checking the gloves in your camp. And if they don't do that, then that's something you got to talk to them about. So in this fight, you had two guys that were just competitive and brought the best out of each other. And it was a magnificent third fight. So I just wish the excuses would stop every time somebody loses. Even Edgar Berlanga had made an episode about that and him struggling. It's always, oh, my bicep was hurt. Oh, my hand was hurt. Oh, it's this. Like, dude, you got to realize you're fighting. No one is 100% healthy. You are going to get hurt. What do you think you signed up for? I get it. I respect every fighter, but at the same time, fighters have a tendency to just be so insecure about people commenting on what's going on. If people don't comment and people don't hold you accountable for things that go on, you don't get paid the amount of money you do. You don't get the attention you do. People have opinions, let them have opinions. But it's ultimately up to you to be able to perform. How many fighters are talented, et cetera, way better than some of the headline stars now? I see fighters in the gym that look magnificent. You put them under the lights, you put them under the scrutiny, you put pressure on them, and then expectation on them, and they fall apart. And that's what they have to do. Get a thick skin. And Wilder, it was the first time you ever lost, truthfully, in your mind. And it's going to be hard to recover. But I think if you do recover, if you choose to fight, you earn the right to get another payday. You're the second best heavyweight in the world. 1 versus 2 happened. And I know people are going to say Usyk has more belts, but truthfully, Deontay Wilder would beat Alexander Usyk. Usyk would have to pitch a complete shutout and never get touched because Wilder would knock him out. I like Usyk. I think he's a good champion, but he got the better fighter to fight in order to win the belt. You go against Fury, you go against Wilder, you're going to get knocked out. And I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. But Wilder, he comes back. He could fight Anthony Joshua. He could fight Dillian White. He could fight Otto Wallin. He could fight Andy Ruiz. He has a bunch of fights out there. And truthfully, he has nothing to be ashamed of other than he lost to the better guy. Sure, he talks. Sure, he's a sore loser. But in my opinion, I feel like he got the loss he wanted. One that he felt was perpetually his and not stolen from him or robbed of dying the beautiful death on the battlefield, as the Greeks call it, and the Alexander the Great, the perfect death. The Romans, etc. They talk about the perfect death, and I think Wilder got the perfect loss. I don't want him to die, and I'm not going to sit here and say that any fighter should die in the ring. I know we care for them, but at the end of the day, they know what they signed up for. They know what they want, and at the end of the day, you can't rob someone of what they want. He wanted that. He wanted an exclamation point to him in Fury's battle. He fought valiantly. We loved it. It was great. He got compensated extremely well. He's able to take care of his family, his daughter, which is perpetually the reason why he got into this fight and got into this game. So you cannot rob someone of what they want. I know people care for them. I know people want to opine and give advice, but at the end of the day, Wilder is his own man. Sure, did he lose something? Maybe. Will he ever be the same? Who knows? Will he be able to bounce back? Who knows? But stop the excuses. You lost to the better guy, and that LDBC needs to stop with the bullshit. Come on. He lost the fight. Deontay Wilder's a man like anyone else. You can lose any given day of the week. Can't beat everybody. And yeah. So that's the episode for today. Let me know what you guys think. Those excuses, the broken hand, the long count, it's over. There's no need for a fourth fight. I don't want to hear about a fourth fight. They had their 3. Deontay Wilder lost 2 and maybe 3 if you really think about it. But it was a great trilogy. Let's leave it at that. Deontay Wilder still a fantastic fighter. I think his fan base sometimes can be a little toxic. I don't know what the agenda is, but on that side, I don't know what's going on. But we need to start holding boxing channels accountable for the fanboying. Ellie Seckback, like not giving Tyson Fury credit. How can you call yourself a boxing channel and then you want to sit here and slight Fury for beating Wilder because he kicked you out of camp? Why? Because you're the way you are. You play favorites and you kiss ass. So that's what's going to happen. Say what you want. It is what it is. Call it what it is. But that's the episode for today. Feel free to subscribe at Good Boxing Podcast on Instagram. Like, leave a comment, and share the video if you can. It's all I ask for. I'll never ask for donations. I'll never ask for a Patreon. I just want to do this, put the content out there, and a nice little free gesture would be to like, comment, or dislike. Just any feedback's better than no feedback. Also, I'm going to be dropping some exclusive audio content, so follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple. Leave a review. You guys know the deal. Be well. Have a good day.